Good morning, good morning, good morning, Kauai. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm glad you're all here today by divine appointment. Guess what? I'm not Michelle LeMay. She's our resident world traveler is in Dubai, just experiencing wonderful new things, so I hope that I can fill her shoes and do the announcements correctly. Well, after service today is the first thing that's happening. So much goes on at our center. And today we're having our men's and women's circles right after service. So if you can, please stay and join us. The women will meet right in here with Reverend Rita, and the guys will go out there somewhere to an undisclosed location and meet with Reverend Patrick for the men's treehouse. So I hope you'll stay for that hour. We're always done by noon, and then you can move on with your day. May 28th, next Sunday, we're having a special service, a Memorial Day service. If you would like to remember someone in your life who has recently transitioned and passed on to the greater yet to be, please bring a flower to share during that ceremony that we'll have at the beginning of service. On May 30th, next Wednesday, Spiritual Living Circles continue in Princeville. Is Anna Myers here today? Okay, well that's all right. We have her number so that you can call her and get directions to where that will be happening. The Spiritual Living Circles take an article out of the Science of Mind magazine for this month and discuss that together so that you can get a deeper understanding of pieces of our philosophy in a casual, kind of homey circle, and that's a nice way. May 30th from 3 to 4 p.m. And the last announcement is, you've seen The Game of Life, which appeared in our bookstore a couple of weeks ago. Reverend Rita and Patrick will be facilitating a one-day workshop on this book, June 27th. I hope you'll put that on your calendar. And it would be very helpful if you read the book ahead of time, because it's not an ongoing class. You won't be reading this book in class, but you'll get a lot more out of the workshop. These are just $6 in the bookstore, and Stephanie will be in the bookstore after service. Raise your hand, please, Stephanie. Thank you. So see Stephanie she'll be of service this afternoon. Well, look in the back of your program for all the events that are happening in June, and as Michelle would say, thank you for your kind attention. Reverend Patrick and Reverend Rita.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Diane. Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, that was Reverend Diane. If you don't know her, she's our staff minister here. Yeah.
How's everyone doing today? Really? How you doing today?
Great.
Oh, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Well, we want to actually introduce you to our newest wonderful
Maria Christina, who will be playing with us here at the center from this day forward until an undisclosed time.
Until undisclosed.
And she has Bryn with her today. Thank you, Bryn, for being here.
And Jonathan.
And Jonathan is over there on sound and
Hey.
also helping with the live streaming. So we're going to take a moment now to light our peace candle and to remember that, taking a deep breath and just allowing ourselves to bring ourselves to that center where peace is always, no matter what's happening on the outside. That place, that center is right where we are. And we get to experience it anytime we want. So let's just take a moment of silence to remember that, and to know as we remember it, we bring it out into our lives and into our world. And so it is. So I like to every Sunday just give a brief what we are, what Center for Spiritual Living is. And in case you're here for the first time or you might be wondering, you forgot, whatever, I like to reiterate it every Sunday. And it's that we are a philosophy, a teaching that expresses that the amazing presence that people call different things. They call it God, they call it Jesus, they call it Lord, they call it Source, they call it life. It's one thing. And we recognize that one thing, that one presence is everywhere present, in and through everything. And it never leaves us. It's who we are. We can't even take a breath without that presence breathing and living through us. And as we recognize it in ourselves, and as we recognize it in others, we bring our life to a place of love. So that's what this is about. That's what this teaching is about, is living our life from that highest place. And when we forget, just getting ourselves back up, climbing back up to that place. And it gets easier and easier the more we practice it.
Right. And just to add on to that, this time not only that we have here, it's for all of us, but it's really for you to be able to have this opportunity, a safe space to come together, to remember who we are. Because I don't know about you, probably nobody in this room, but sometimes we forget. We get here and it's, very, very high energy, and then we walk out the door, and Monday we're high energy, and then Tuesday rolls along and we're like, woo. So we're here just to let you know that we're 24/7. Well, let's not get crazy. But, whoa, did he rewind? No, I'm just kidding. We're a center that's here full time for you. As we say, we're that spiritual station that you come here to be filled up. So I just wanted to let you know that. Also, we have in the audience today somebody so wonderful that comes back to us. We graduated together. Ordination panels was mine. So would you like to stand, Reverend Patty Mercado?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow. We've come a long way, baby. Yes, we all have. That's great. So, speaking of first time, who is here for the very first time? Please raise your hand. And
I'm
now
actually going to
stand.
ask you to stand so we can love you.
We wanted to spot you first, and then go ahead, stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
look at all
There
those
you
beautiful
go.
faces. So,
There we go. And so we know something about you, and I know a lot, but we have it written down about all of some things about you, and your daughters let us know. So here we go. Ready? You are magnificent. Wow, did you know that? Yes, you did. Yes, you are magnificent, and we know that about you because we know that about ourselves. Shall we all say it together? I am magnificent. And there's this camera back there with this guy with a CSL Kauai t-shirt on. It's only $25 if you'd like to get that in the bookstore. But anyway, just saying, there's this wonderful thing called live streaming. So everything that we do in here today, people are like watching us. And they're like taking all that in. And even people on the island are going, wow, I don't really want to go down there right now, but I can turn them on. And so they are doing that. So let's tell them that they are magnificent. You are magnificent. Now look to your left, to your right. Let anybody know that's near you that they're magnificent. I know these two are magnificent. I know you're magnificent. I know you're magnificent. You're magnificent. You're magnificent. You're magnificent. You're magnificent. There we go. So if everybody will just stand up and we'll get magnificent with our opening song.
Please sing along.
brand new.
It's brand new. It's in the program.
Remember just who you are. Oh, remember you're a being of the stars. Oh, remember the wisdom within. Oh, remember all the joy you can bring. Oh, remember, you are of this earth. Oh, remember all that you are worth. Oh, remember all that you know. Remember, seeds take time to grow. Remember, remember all that you are. Remember, remember, remember the power of love.
So what I know right here and right now is I do remember. And I remember that I am that beautiful, loving presence. And I know that that presence is everyone in this room. And we are all connected in that one presence, that one life, that one love. And what I also remember is that that is always happening. And it's happening right here and right now in this service. That we are celebrating that one presence, that one light, that one love that we all are, and that everything from this point on flows in that beauty, in that life, in that energy, in that source of love. So I know everything unfolds perfectly, and that we are perfect in it. So I just release this time. I let go and give gratitude for it in advance as we affirm together, and so it is.
Remember just who you are. Oh, remember you're a being of the stars. Oh, remember the wisdom within. Oh, remember all the joy you can bring. Oh, remember you are of this earth. Oh, remember all that you are worth. Oh, remember all that you know. Remember, seeds take time to grow. Remember, remember all that you are. Remember, remember, remember the power of love. Remember just who you are. Oh, remember you're a being of the stars. Oh, remember the wisdom within. Oh, remember all the joy you can bring. Oh, remember you are of this earth. Oh, remember all that you are worth. Oh, remember all that you know. Remember, seeds take time to grow. Remember, remember all that you are. Remember, remember, remember the power of love.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. Right. So now we have the honor to hear from Dr. Price, Peggy Price, Reverend Dr. Peggy Price, who will give us our centering and spiritual mind treatment.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you. It's a delight to be here today. Good morning. So please join with me as we just reflect on these words and then move into prayer. Everywhere we look on this beautiful island, we see the power of giving and receiving. The winds bring their gifts of cooling the air, and the clouds their gift of moisture, the sun its limitless gift of light, and the night sky fills with stars and moonlight. The rain brings growth, and the plants produce flowers and food. The trees breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out life-giving oxygen. All of this is part of the natural order of things. We teach natural law in science of mind, and we teach that we live in a reciprocal universe, that giving and receiving are all part of the continuous cycle of life. Florence Scovel Shinn tells us there is always the perfect balance of giving and receiving, And although man should give without thinking of returns, he violates the law if he does not accept the returns which come to him. For all gifts are from God, man being merely the channel. And may I also include women in all of those words. In New Thought, we envision a world that works for everyone. That vision can only be fulfilled by understanding the deeper meaning of giving and receiving, realizing that there is enough, and sharing our own gifts with others through service. All of us have something to give, whether it's cleaning up a beach, rescuing an animal, feeding a hungry child, or sharing our abundance financially. The natural law of service, the Tao, is foremost about receiving. This bold statement, written by Susan Trout, reflects wisdom found in one of China's best-loved books, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. We live in conscious harmony with the natural law of service through receiving. What we have received, we give. We cannot give what we have not first received. And what we give to others, we first give to ourselves. We receive. We cannot give from an empty vessel. Something has to be in the vessel, or there's nothing to give from it. The fruits of our self-care fill our vessel. In this way, caring for self becomes the priority to giving and receiving. And so knowing this truth, this profound truth, that all is giving, all is receiving in this incredible cycle of life, we recognize that one power, that one source, that one life, that from the very instant of our first breath and our first heartbeat, we have been in this physical realm, giving and receiving. That as we open to the goodness of life, as we open to the many, many gifts of the divine, peace and wholeness, love, harmony, balance, order, abundance, we continually recognize this cycle and the importance of our part in it. For each of us is truly magnificent. Each of us is truly extraordinary. And each of us has some beautiful gift, some blessing to give today to another. And in the process, we too are given that gift and that blessing. So we join in this beautiful cycle of life today, celebrating this good, celebrating all of Spirit's blessings in all its many forms, as we give thanks, releasing these words into divine law and saying together, and so it is.
So if everyone will just turn to their program for our chant, Let the Way of the Heart. All the words are not here.
Please sing along with us if you feel to.
Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts are beating as one. Let the way of the heart shine. All hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. So let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. So let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. So let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Oh, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Oh, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through.
Nice. Woo!
Mahalo.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Peggy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. And Bren. Wow. That was awesome. There's nothing like music, right? To just like get into your heart and just, you feel it, right? Even when it doesn't have words. That was beautiful. So we've been very excited lately about Florence Scovel-Shinn. I mean, I've known about her before. In fact, in LA, when I wanted to manifest a house, a lady said to me, "You need to read the book, The Game of Life, and how to play it." And I did, and I was just like so turned on by her work. She's just really amazing, and I know a lot of us have already read her. But if you don't know who she is, she was in like the late 1800s and early 1900s, and her work was really in the early 1900s. And funny, but she started out as an actress, just like me. I don't know. There's a lot. I think Ernest Holmes was even did some acting too, and it does come in handy. Anyway, apparently she was married to this artist. They went to art school together, or some fine arts school together, and he, you know, of course, he wanted to build her a theater, so he built her a theater, and she wrote three plays for her. Sounds really familiar. I just thought that. I used to write plays for him. Anyway, you know, life just repeats itself, right? Anyway, so eventually they apparently got divorced. Now, in the little bit of her story that I read, they didn't tell why, and I kept searching for it. But I think the important thing that came out of it is that she wanted to figure out what was going on in her life that would cause her to have that much turmoil in her life. And that was when she found New Thought. And the rest is history. Then she started to write these books, and no one would publish them. I'm sure there's plenty of us in this audience that have written books and nobody would publish. Maybe not plenty, but there has been those experiences I know people have talked to me about. Well, she did not let that deter her. She just went out and published them herself. And now her books are classics. And I don't know, she's just amazing. So one of the things she says on the very first page of that book is most people consider life a battle, but it's not a battle, it's a game. Can you imagine if we really thought of it that way, that it was a game, not a battle? It's a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. And, she says, and she's a real big Bible person, she says, and the Old and New Testament give us the rules of the game, which are wonderfully clear. Jesus taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. And that's all that life is a game of giving and receiving. Can you accept that? At least contemplate it and work with it and see what it can do for you. Because it's not about just giving physical things, right? I mean, you can give physical things and you can give them with whatever, like resentment or whatever, or, you know, I don't know if this is good enough type of consciousness. So it's not about the giving of the things. It's about the consciousness. It's all about consciousness. That's all life is. When we treat for people in this philosophy, when we do our affirmative prayer, we're not trying to get things for them. We're changing consciousness. We're allowing the avenue of a change in consciousness to happen. So it's all about that. It's about giving and consciousness. And like I said, she's like totally into the Bible, which could turn some people off, maybe. I don't know. A lot of people come to me and say, I don't want to hear about the Bible. I don't like that book. Well, the reason probably is because when we were growing up, the Bible was, you know, to us, like some of us that were brought up in more strict Christian faiths, that the Bible kind of preached a lot of hellfire and damnation to us, which, in a judgmental God, which isn't at all what Florence Shin thinks. Florence Shin believes that everything in the Bible is us. It's all metaphorical. And if you read any story, it's a part of yourself. And when you read these powerful stories that are in the Bible and you think about yourself, like for instance, she says like Pharaoh in the Moses story, you know, he was all the negative thoughts that keep us enslaved, right? And Moses was like our intuition and our inner self that says, no, this is the way. This is the way. So it's not about the people, about the literal sense of the story, but it's about the metaphor. And I really like that. And it makes me well, you know, anything. If we look at a fairy tale or anything, it's all about the metaphorical. It's all about us. And she says that throughout the book. She also talks about the power of affirmation. And this is really, listen to this. She says, we might think we can't control our thoughts. How many of us think we can't control our thoughts sometimes? It could be, right? They're all racing through our minds. We can't control our thoughts. She said, we might think we can't control our thoughts, but we can control our words. Whoa. And she is a believer in the power of the word. And as we are in this philosophy, we are a believer in the power of our word. So that for her is the power of affirmations and how we use our word. And I'm telling you, when you read this book, she doesn't mince words. She'll come right out and tell on you. If you're like totally, you know, she just basically is saying take responsibility, and she helped people turn their life around, not by blaming themselves, but by taking responsibility for the things that were happening. Like she took responsibility for her divorce and said, okay, what's going on in my life that caused this kind of turmoil in my life? And then she figured it out, and the rest is history. So this week, when I knew we were going to be talking about this topic, I decided I'm going to play the game of life this week. I'm really going to play it. I'm going to see what I can do with this game. Not that I don't always play it, but I took it into my conscious mind. And I said, I'm going to play the game of life. So, okay, so this is the first thing that happens to me. I'm sitting at my computer on Monday morning thinking about this, and I've gone my meditation, and I'm playing I'm telling on myself now, I'm playing this beautiful video that we made. I don't know if you've all seen it, but for our fundraising program, we made a video of the past couple of years. It's called Here We Grow Again. So I'm playing this, and I had so much joy welling up at me. I could not believe how much joy I had welling up at me. Why are you laughing? Okay, you were there when it happened. So, yeah, you know the punchline. Okay, so I'm having all this joy, and I thought, you know, I want to share this with my children. So I proceed to write a letter to them about how wonderful things are in Kauai and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, I did it in a really beautiful way, and please come see us and all that stuff. Then I got up from my computer with the computer in my hand, and I proceeded to fall on the floor. Not only did I fall, but I injured my foot. But now it's fine. But anyway, I freaked out so bad because I couldn't understand how I could have that much joy in me and then fall down and hurt my foot. See what we do to ourselves in this philosophy? So then you go on the witch hunt. Okay, what was I really thinking, Rita? What was I really thinking that made me be so much joy that I got up from the computer and then I fell on the floor? I don't know. Maybe I was just filled with joy. Who the hell cares? Right? And that's what I say to people. I know you saw my foot the other day. I couldn't go for a walk with you because of it. But now I'm walking fine. Anyway, but yeah, because you know why? Because what I realized, it wasn't about why it happened. And that's so many people come to us and they want to find out why it happened, and we dig into our consciousness and we blame ourselves and all that stuff. No, the only thing I needed to do was love myself more. And that's what I did. I just nurtured myself and loved myself. And maybe that's all any of this is about, is us loving ourselves more. We talked about this last week. Why do I hurt myself? Well, I need to love myself more. So I did, and now I'm fine. I did my path walk 3 times already this week, so I'm good. So the other thing she talks about is the power of resentment. These are just a couple of things I want to touch upon. The power of resentment. Oh my God, she goes on and on about it in her book, and about how that can hold us back. How much resentment can hold us back. Something happens, somebody did us wrong, whatever. I mean, I have had it done to me, you know, in my mind a million times. Why did they do that? Don't they know who I am? You know, blah, blah, blah. I'm so good. I'm so giving. And then what happens is, what? We're holding on to resentment. And resentment blocks our good. And it really does. Why do you think? Because if you're going like this and you're all upset, how can you open up and receive? Because what are you giving out? You're giving out this, and you're not going to get anything back from it. So this is like the school of hard knocks in a way. Because we really have to look at ourselves. And it's okay. It's good stuff, though. It's fun. It's a game. It is a game, and it's not a game about blame. It's a game about love. So that's what I got out of this, and what I continue to get out of her work and continue to get out of my life. And she talks about changing our beliefs through affirmations. And this, she's got a million stories in there. And one of them is about the guy that came to her because he needed money to pay a bill, right, or something. I don't know. He needed money. But she did this big treatment for him and everything. And then he came out of the treatment. He goes, well, now I'm thinking what I'll say to the people when I haven't the money to pay. Well, how many times do we do this? We think positively, right? But then what about those thoughts? They come in, blah, 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 blah. We can't. She said, it's a one-way street. Abundance and lack, they can't drive on the same street together. Whatever it is that you want to manifest in your life, it's a one-way street. And that's the street you get to choose, the street you want to take. And it's not about when it shows up, whatever it is. For a lot of people, it's money, because I know that. That's one of the biggest things we get people coming to us for about is money, health and money. It's a one-way street. We've got a beautiful lady in this center who's sitting in a rehab center right now, recovering from a horrendous accident. And she said, I'm talking about Janice right now, I shouldn't have even been alive. I know that I was divinely protected. She understands this so totally. I'm telling you, I can't wait till she comes back and she gets to talk to us about it, because she really gets it. She didn't blame herself and tear herself apart because of something that happened to her. Instead, she went into loving herself and healing. And because of that, she's, like I said, she'll be back probably this week. So, yeah, she'll be ready to take the plane, she said. And she's working really hard on her therapy. She said, and her mom's there and her family's coming, so it's all good. So we have a choice of how we live our lives. Florence calls it, we call it the same thing kind of in Science of Mind. It's the same thing. I'm not going to compare it, but she calls it living from the superconscious mind instead of the lower consciousness. Everything's going into the subconscious, which is the law of our life, which in the Bible they call Lord. And if you took every word the Bible said Lord and transposed it to law, you would see that it makes total sense. And the law is that thing that gives it back to us, right? And so if we can pull ourselves up into the superconscious mind, anytime we feel ourselves slipping down into the lower consciousness, but the lower consciousness is just us judging by what we see around us instead of seeing from here, from within. So my son works in New York and for Morgan Stanley. And I don't know if any of you know, but there was an accident in New York, and it was right by his office. So what's the first thing that comes to my mind? Is my son okay? Is my son okay? Of course, he thought about it before I did, and he texted me, I'm okay, Mom. I know he always does that when something happens. Are you okay? I heard there was a tsunami in Hawaii. And I'm like, what? I didn't hear about the tsunami. Yeah, we all have a different view of New York City's a big place. Anyway, he even sent me a picture because it was 2 blocks from his office. But he said something which was interesting. He said, because he doesn't come from this philosophy, but he said, be careful, Mom. It's a crazy world out there. Be careful, Mom. It's a crazy world out there. And I wanted to say something, but I didn't. But where the crazy world might be out there, the world that we need to live from is in here, and that's not a crazy world. And the more we can live from that world and trust it, the more the world won't look so crazy. We'll just see it as a game, right? I like that. We'll just see it. I know. We watched this movie the other night, and Ruth was going, I just liked the movie because it made me feel like a kid again. It was like a game or something like that. You said, it is, if we could just look at it that way. And even when these yucky things happen, if we could just go, wow, there's something more I need to know here. You know, I told you last week my mother, and I'll close with this, is going into assisted living. And she you know, I can tell she's like scared. I mean, she's been a pretty like caretaker her whole life. So this is a new territory for her. And she's very deeply Catholic. And I just spoke to her on her terms. I said, Mom, I said, your whole life, and it's true. I said, God has always taken care of you. Do you think God's going to drop you now? She goes, I guess you're right. And she got it. Yeah, the universe has our back at all times, no matter what happens to us. It has our back from now through eternity. That's what we are. We're living the law of giving and receiving. So let's just give a little more love today, especially to ourselves and then out there into the world. Namaste.
Please hear me calling out. I've been praying, hoping for you to show me how to realize home, yeah, in the light, the light, the light, the light, the light, the light. See, I've forgotten who I really am. I've been searching, wandering, trying to understand what it means to be home, yeah, in the light, the light, the light, the light, the light, the light. There have been times I felt I was getting close to seeing the bigger picture right now. Maybe that would help the most. If feeling your arms around me helps me to let go. And even though there's so much that I don't know, we've come in love, we've come in peace, we've come to live in harmony. However we've fallen, let's lift each other up, hear each other calling, 'cause we are one, we are one, all living under the same sun. We are one, forgiveness, grace in everyone. How about no more fighting, not 'cause of carrying down? We could listen to each other, there's a treasure to be found. And maybe we realize we're really all the same in a different disguise. And maybe all we want is based on what we've been through and how we see the world and what we feel we need to do. 'Cause there's survival, faith and surrender too. It's a wild journey and I'll keep moving on, trying to hold it together and be strong. And even if we don't know all it will take, let's call forgiveness in to heal every mistake. 'Cause we've come in love, we've come in peace, we've come to live in harmony. However we've fallen, let's lift each other up, hear each other calling, 'cause we are one, all living under the same sun. We are one, forgiveness, grace in everyone. We are one, all living under the same sun. We are one, forgiveness, grace in everyone. We
Thank you so much.
It's not always when you come in and you're new, you have to get through all that stuff. You're just a light.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wow. So I'm on now. But you could hear me anyway, couldn't you? Yeah. Wow. First of all, I can do just all thank yous and I won't even say anything, but you know that won't happen. But Rita, I sat there and I just welled up with this beautiful lady and your message today. And yeah, it's a crazy world out there perhaps, but in here it is not. So we're on this Game of Life book, and what I like about it is that it's simple. And we're not plugging the book, but if you need it, it's $6 in the back of the bookstore. You can wear it with your t-shirt, read it with your t-shirt on. But what I'm realizing is this is very simple, because I know we're in a world that we're about quantum physics, and we want to go and we want to get into the intellect, and that's old school, and that's old. Well, it may be old school, but we ain't using it fully. And so that's what I'm liking about it, that I can just, simplicity. I have overthought everything most of my life. And I just love the idea of just call it like it is, so that we can play the game with pure love. So she goes, Florence Shin says, the game of life is a game of boomerangs. Our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us sooner or later with astounding accuracy. Oh, if I really could get into that and really live it all day long, that everything that I am thinking, that everything that I am presenting, and everything I'm throwing it out. See ya. Oh no, here it comes, right? Whoa, hello. So when I said that they weren't doing life the way they were supposed to because they made my life inconvenient, oh no, here it comes. Then I go, I don't understand why my life is like in turmoil right now. Do you remember the day of the boomerang? Yeah. So if we really believe that, do you really believe? And here's the deal, it's a one-way street. I love that because we don't get to have it both ways. I wish we could, that sometimes it was fair and then sometimes it was unfair. And that way the things that I did, they don't really come back to me like that. But I think it's powerful because I got the boomerang in my hand, man. I got the boomerang in my thoughts. I got the boomerang in my word. So I have the boomerang. And I was thinking of this Game of Life board. Do you guys remember the Game of Life? I didn't. But so I remembered the name, but I didn't remember what it had to do with. And it's this whole game that's kind of cool. You go and you learn about going to college, and do you need a degree to do that? And and I'm thinking, wow, this doesn't feel very childlike. But I kept researching it, and did you know that the first game was played, started out 1860? Hello. They've been doing this for a long time, you guys. New thought isn't really new. They've been talking about the Game of Life for a really long time. And then the 1960 version came out, of course, in the 60s, and it lets us know, and you have the game board, and you go through college, and then they have like insurance, you buy insurance for that. It's like very educational. And this is how they sell it to you. I just love this. I actually could read it without it. The Game of Life can be fun for adults and educational for children. Yes, that's why kids want to play games, is to be educated. Gameplay is simple, but due to the nature and somewhat complexity of the game, it may take a while to catch all life rules. Oh boy, here we go. We got rules. Got to learn those rules. Then you can play the game of life. As soon as I learned the rules, or as I was raised with, where they said, find them out so you could break them. But that was just, they weren't in a penitentiary. They were just somebody, just guidance. So this is what it goes on to say. If only the real game of life we play every day was as simple as spinning a wheel. It didn't really settle real good with me. I don't know about you, but I'm not living my life by spinning a wheel and seeing where it ends up. Number 7, move 7 spaces. What if I don't want to move 7 spaces? I guess I wouldn't be following the rules now, would I? Spinning. And I thought, I am not going to live my life by chance. I know that sometimes it feels that way. We'll see what happens, and then I'll deal with it. What if you saw what happens and then let it deal with you? It's a it's a concept that I'm telling you, I know that it needs continuous observation, but I thought to myself, oh, here's the other one too. It says, this is the front cover, where will your choices take you? The possibilities are endless in the game of life. What does your future hold? I don't know. Let's spin. It's kind of a cop-out on decision making, but once again, it is a game, and I don't want to blow the poor kids high. They're playing a game, and I'm analyzing the whole thing. Do you really want to go to college just because it said you wanted to go to college? But there is something about that we've been trying to discover the game of life for a long time. So then I found another thing that came to my mind that, you'll remember this one. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Now, if that's not a party to go to, I don't know what is. I'm sitting there literally at my computer going, are you kidding me? I had to read it again, and then I looked it up all over the place, and everybody was saying it. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst. You can't do that, just FYI. How do I say, yeah, expect the best out of my life, but how am I going to pay the bills? You can't do it. I tried it actually a couple days ago, and I tried to do it at the same time. It doesn't work. Just makes you go crazy. And I looked over at Rita, and I said, this makes my head want to explode. How do I expect the best? So I continued to look at that, and I'm thinking, you cannot do that. And then people say, yeah. So I even looked up all the motivational gurus, and they all agreed with it because they said you're not really looking at it the right way. I don't know about looking at it the right way, but either you're expecting the best or you're preparing for the worst. But what about insurance? They ask with a question in their little tone on that little tape I listened to. Here's what it is. I have car insurance for 2 reasons. 1, it's the law. And 2, it's the law. Exactly. And then second of all, because then I can focus all my attention on expecting the best. That's the only thing insurance is for me. So that I can spend all my time expecting the best. I went years without health insurance. Years. And when I went, I remember leaving for New York, and my chiropractor said, your back will never make it on the streets of New York. Another uplifting conversation with the medical world. You'll never make it in New York with your back. And I said, well, I'll have to, because I don't have insurance. So I will have to be covered. And it really made me think. I remember not having it, and one of my kids I was teaching in New Mexico, and one of the mothers said to me, so, who's your health provider? And then I was all shamed for a moment, I don't have insurance, so, And I went, God. It's really good, and the premiums are excellent. Just FYI. The premiums are excellent in this. And I didn't mean a God out there. I meant the God within here that was going to help me maintain this body while I did not have insurance, and then I had it at other times. The game of life. So think of that. One-way street. We cannot think both at the same time, and if we do, try to do that, it goes crazy. But the other one is, you must choose. That was, the other day I had a moment. I didn't fall on the floor or anything, but close to, I fell on the floor mentally, and I said, I'm expecting the best out of this, Rita, but I need to maybe prepare for, because then she's going to go, hello, you know, then I'm going to be science of mind the whole time. But she didn't do that. She went, well, you'll have to choose. But I had to choose. And that's one of the biggest things. We have to choose. We have to allow ourselves to remember that we are the one making the rules for the game of life, our life, and we're being supported and backed at all times by the power of life, by the power of love. So what if it was a new game? What if the rules by Milton Bradley were not true? What if that was something that was devised in 1860 and 1960 based on the appearances of the world? That's all it was. It was based on how do we do a game of life the way most people are living it. Don't you think it's time for a new game? Yes. I mean, what if it was like, oh, it would be so great. You spin it, and you move it 7 spots, and you look at there and you go, I don't really like that. And then the other players say, but you spun it. You just spun that. I'm going to spin again. And I'm not even going to wait my turn. Yeah. What if we all did that, man? Oh, I did a little jump there. Did you notice that? Oh, my God. Game. Yeah, Spidey. Game of life. So all I know is that I'm ready for a new game. And it takes courage to actually start a new game, because not everybody's playing it with you. And they're going to have a lot of opinions about your new game. And they're going to have a lot of opinions that it doesn't work with the game of life that they're playing. And we just have to, as Rita said, love more. But if somebody doesn't start the new game, man, we're going to be playing the one from 1860 and 1960 for a long time. So it's time, and where I'm at with that game of life is that I want the courage to say yes. That I am responsible for this thing called life. That I was given a gift. And I was given this wonderful gift of life, and how I use it is up to me. And so what I want to do is take my boomerang, and I want to throw it out there and say, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. Because I just threw out love. I just threw out prosperity. I just threw out perfect health. I just threw out everything that makes my life filled with light and love and God. And I threw it out, and it's coming back. And I'm not running from it. I'm not going to try to disguise it, or I'm not going to throw a boomerang to make my life look better for anybody else if their life is not playing the way they want it. So, there I am. Game of life. Yeah, I've landed. We've all landed. This is such a great game. Oh my God, I love playing it. And you're not limited to 6 or 10 for the players. We can all play it. There's no limit in the game. Namaste.
Here we are.
Ooh.
Thank you, Glenn. Here we are. Yeah, this is our time of sacred giving. Thank you for your gifts to CSL Kauai, and knowing that it prospers not just this ministry but the world, because it goes out into the world as we all go out into the world. And as we're a tithing center, we do tithe out into the world. And percent of what you give us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And there is an affirmation in your program. What an amazing way to practice giving and receiving. And no matter what you're giving, it's the consciousness you give it with. Just remember that. It's the consciousness you give it with. Makes it a gift of $10 million. Can't even count what it is.
How
So
much
here
did
we
you
go.
say?
I said it's the $10 million consciousness. $10 million consciousness, no matter what it is. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. If it is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply, I give freely today, knowing it returns to me multiplied abundantly. Okay. We have a new giving song, I believe, by the famous Karen Drucker.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have.
We are all so blessed. We are blessed by the very gift of this day and the gift of this life. We are blessed by these gifts, these offerings. And as we are blessing one another by these gifts, we also recognize that each and every one of us brought these gifts to us through that divine law of giving and receiving. And so we join together here today in gratitude, knowing that as these gifts go forward, they go forward to bless not only this community, but the world. So in love and gratitude, we simply say, and so it is.
It is.
Thank you, Dr. Peggy. Thank you, Deborah.
Bring up the children here.
We've got 2 children today. How exciting.
Hey, Everett.
Hey, Everett
Hey,
and
George.
Amelia.
And then the big kid.
George, you have something to say to us? This is George, everyone.
Thank you. Today we did the 2 great commandments. Love God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. And then we went through, do you love your neighbor? We went through the person, immediate family, extended family, and all that. Wrote it down. So I think they know how to love everybody. Yeah?
Yes?
Anything to say? No? All right, so let's just do our blessing. Let's take a deep breath together and recognize these children and all the children in the world, knowing that they're held in the arms of love, the arms of grace. At all times, their lives are prospered and blessed, healthy and strong. That's what I know. That's what I claim. That's what I announce and accept. And I give gratitude for it as we say together, and so it is. Thank you, George. Thank you, kids.
So before we close, I just wanted to mention something. Last week, I think it was Robert, he said that I have forgotten, we have forgotten, to remind you about this jar that is filled with change and bills. This is our building fund at the moment. And it all starts somewhere, right? And so he said, we can't remember if you don't remind us. So just to let you know that that's our jar, and we fill it out, and we have something like
I think we have about $700 some odd in the bank right now from it, from that jar.
from this jar.
Which is pretty
So
good,
there
right?
you go. So that's
So
how
it's
it
a start.
works. Yeah. And if anything has come up for you, who's our practitioner too?
Reverend Diane.
Mhm.
And do we have Reverend Peggy today? Would you like to come up?
Oh, that
Okay,
would be
so we have
good.
2 today. That's great.
That's great.
So you can come up now. It's okay.
And so if anything's come up, and we also have what we call our yes box, which means that everything that you put into it, something that's come up for you, just write it down and just allow us to know the absolute truth for it. So we are so blessed.
We are so blessed. And if I've forgotten anything, just remind me when I'm out there. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to close.
So everyone want to
We have
stand?
a new
and
closing song, too. Thank you.
Today's about
Yeah.
new.
Did you write all these songs? Except for the
This
Karen
one.
Drucker. You wrote
This
this
one and the special song.
Okay,
That's it.
great.
Please sing along.
Love is all around me, below and above. I'm so grateful to love and be loved. It's ever flowing from within, always right here to receive and be given. I surrender in love, wide open to this love. I surrender in love all the way. Love is all around me, below and above. So grateful to love and be loved. It's ever flowing from within, always here to receive and be given. I surrender in love, wide open to this love. I surrender in love all the way. Love is all around me, below and above. I'm so grateful to love and be loved. It's ever flowing from within, always right here to receive and be given. I surrender in love, wide open to this love. I surrender in love all the way.
All right. Thank you for everyone who participated today. Yeah, so, and I just want to close this with knowing that we do surrender. Surrender in this moment of laughter and this moment of truth, and that we go from this moment to the next moment, remembering that there is gratitude for everything that comes from inside. And I'm so grateful for this time that we've spent together, and everyone that has brought through everything to make this time together successful and just filled with love and light. So knowing that, I just say yes. Can you say yes with me? Yes. And so it is.
So it is.
No, it was great because I was going like this, and I was just about to go in.
I went to the dance camp. That was